With me today are Ricky Dixon. Mr. Dixon here is the Secretary of the Florida Department of Corrections. He's flown in to be with us today. Thank you, sir. Mike, we have Troy Walker, who is our regional director for the Southern Regional area. He is the special agent in charge. And to the secretary's left, I think most of you know, Tim Vandergeethen is our deputy chief assistant, and in that capacity, he's also head of our public corruption unit. He investigated this matter along with the agents from FDLE night and day. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's his unit, that public corruption unit, that is primarily responsible for the investigation and prosecution of police officers and correction officers that violate the law. You all may remember just last week, I think it was, that he tried and a jury convicted an officer for excessive use of force. So, as I've previously mentioned, Ronald Gene Ingram was in the process of being transferred to the Lake Correctional Institution. At about 5:30 a.m., Ingram was being moved from his cell. It appears to us, to the agents, to the prosecutors who have looked at this, that Ingram was no longer able to walk under his own power, that he was virtually being carried to the transport van and loaded in. When the van arrived at 10:30 a.m., remember he left around 3:30 a.m., Ingram is found dead in the van. The medical examiner concluded that Ingram died from blunt force trauma injuries from an assault. His numerous broken ribs had a punctured right lung that caused extensive internal bleeding, resulting in his death. The death was classified as a homicide by the medical examiner. Just to refresh your memory, in the state of Florida, pursuant to state statute, it's the medical examiner. The medical examiner is the entity responsible for legally determining the cause of death. So based on their findings in this case, and since the medical examiner classified this as a homicide, we are able to file the criminal charges we present here today. Today, we are charging former correctional officers from the Day Correctional Institution in connection with Ronald Gene's death the following. 28-year-old Jeremy Lee Godbolt, who was taken into custody just moments ago. 24-year-old Ronald Connor, 29-year-old Christopher Rowland, and 34-year-old Kirk Walton. They are all being charged with 1 count murder in the second degree, 1 count conspiracy to commit murder in the second degree, 1 count aggravated battery on an elderly or disabled person, 1 count conspiracy to commit aggravated battery on an elderly or disabled person, and 1 count employee of the Department of Corrections committing a battery and or inflicting cruel or inhumane treatment causing great bodily harm. 1 count of conspiracy by an employee of the Department of Corrections committing a battery and or inflicting cruel or inhumane treatment causing great bodily harm. Our system of justice demands that those who are part of the law enforcement community clearly recognize their roles and their individual duties. One can never enforce the law when one is breaking the law. These charges today reinforce those extremely important beliefs. My team, in working with the agents on this case and with the Department of Corrections on this case, We will prosecute these officers under due process, but to the fullest extent of the law. So with that, I would like to now introduce our Secretary of the Florida Department of Corrections. We appreciate you being here, Mr. Secretary.
Professional men and women who do a remarkable job in the interest of public safety. They do not deserve to have their reputations and their agency tarnished by criminal acts such as this. From the very moment we became aware of this incident, our full attention has been on evaluating staffing, leadership, and operations at the Correctional Institution. And I will take just a few minutes to share action items we've taken thus far. First, we removed all individuals that could have potentially been involved in the case that we knew of from the facility and placed them on administrative leave. Violated public trust, and they violated the trust of those who work alongside of them. This department is made up of over 24 decent, hardworking, professional men and women who do a remarkable job in the interest of public safety. They do not deserve to have their reputations and their agency tarnished by criminal acts such as this. From the very moment we became aware of this incident, our full attention has been on evaluating staffing, leadership, and operations at the Correctional Institution. And I will take just a few minutes to share action items we've taken thus far. First, we removed all individuals that could have potentially been involved in the case that we knew of from the facility and placed them on administrative leave. Upon becoming aware of this incident, I immediately traveled to Dade Correctional Institution along with other members of leadership to personally spend time on the ground, assessing the facility and identifying any areas of concern. Upon my request, the Office of the Inspector General has temporarily assigned law enforcement inspectors to every shift at Dade, and I'd like to thank Inspector General Kenneth Sumter for his assistance in that effort. Now, although I have full confidence in Warden Jason Hoskins, who was sent there recently prior to this incident to address management concerns, we have relocated Warden Ronnie Quinn from West Florida to Dade CI. He's one of our most respected wardens in our system, and I have no doubt he will address any staffing or operational issues. We've temporarily assigned high-level leaders from facilities around the state to shadow supervisors at Dade on all shifts and provide operational and staffing feedback. Also, we relocated several mid-level personnel from Dade and replaced them with supervisors from other facilities. Also, every officer at Dade CI went through additional mandatory use of force and ethics training, and that's over and above what is expected of them annually. Deputy Secretary Richard Comerford personally led and oversaw a large portion of that training. And finally, we closed additional housing units and reduced the inmate population at Dade just to temporarily alleviate any staffing challenges. And these are just a few of the action items we've taken thus far. I can tell you I stand here today as a partner with our law enforcement colleagues, and it's a testament to the gravity of this case and the charges being presented today. I am committed to running an agency that ensures a safe and professional environment for our staff, state offenders, and inmates. As I've said before, I will be unwavering in my support for staff who perform their jobs with integrity. But we will continue to ensure that those who do not are separated from us, terminated, or prosecuted as applicable, just as we're doing in this case.